as she's been so kind and gracious to join us today. She's our special guest for Coffee with a Capper.
Morning.
Let us talk, Tiffany. Good Lord, where do we start, girly?
I don't know, man.
Talk about, just give us background. Everybody I think knows who you are, where you're from, when you got into real estate, things like that.
Okay, cool. Back in the late 80s, I originally got my real estate license and I opened up a roommate and apartment network company. I helped landlords find tenants and I helped people find roommates. It was kind of a cutting edge. It was when there was no internet. Fax machine came around when I opened that company. So, I mean, you can think about it was all one-on-one, right? And in 95, I sold that company when I had our second kid, and I just let my real estate license lapse. And for years and years and years, I talked about getting it back, and I just didn't do it. I was a stay-home mom. 2000, I started back with Hilbert Realty. In case some of you know, Chuck's my husband. Yep, he's my husband. And I just started doing all of the marketing, the back end stuff for Hilbert Realty. And then when Chuck decided to buy KW, I was kind of in the back end doing all of the market center stuff. I was the market center admin, market center technology coordinator in the very beginning. Kind of was helping our team Hilbert at the time, which was called the Hilbert Group. Chuck was the rainmaker of that. We had a full-time admin and just one buyer's agent. We built that to a couple buyer's agents. I did the marketing. And in 2017, it became really evident in that Chuck just couldn't sell real estate and also run the company. So we kind of retired him out. I got my license back in 2016 again. I took the 70-hour course again. It was hell. I hated it. Not going to lie. That course is just like, ugh. Got my license and then we retired him out and I took over. Our team imploded, literally imploded. Our one admin that we had stayed, Nancy Rogers, and then her and I just have kind of we built it up from that ground in mid 2017 to where we are now.
I can't believe it's only been since 2017 that you've taken that team.
Yeah.
So Chuck's not actively selling?
No. Oh. Nope. He has not sold a thing since the end of 2016.
Wow.
I can't believe it's only been since then. It seems like you've been doing this forever. Like, God.
I know. Okay. I wish I started selling like 10 years ago. I mean, I definitely found my passion and my niche. 10 years ago, I mean, I could not be where I am now if my kids were still in my life. I mean, I have grown kids. I have a 25 and a 28-year-old. They're very much in my life. Let me rephrase that. But I mean, if they were home, because I just loved pouring into them and like hanging with them. So I'm lucky that I was able in my later part of my life to be able to do what I'm doing.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's back up a little bit. So
sure.
When you guys came over to Keller Williams, let's talk about production. Do you have any idea what you guys were, what your production was?
When I took over the team?
Actually, how about when you came to KW?
Don't know.
Okay.
You know, we weren't big into numbers back then. I'll be honest with you.
That's true. That's a KW thing. Yeah,
it's totally a KW thing. I know when Chuck was doing everything, we were always platinum, pretty much always platinum. That was when GRAR was big into all of the awards, right? So we were always gold or platinum. So we were always in like the top 20 to 30 agents or teams. We kind of started a team before a lot of people started teams. Chuck was selling a lot of new construction and some existing residential. We had a full-time admin that started with us probably 20 years ago. So we were really before the cutting edge when things were happening, and we brought him over with us. Chuck was consistently anywhere from 8 to 12 million. I think maybe 12 was probably his best year.
Yeah.
And and back then that was a shit ton of money. That was a big producer.
Absolutely.
A really big producer back then. He was the president of the board in 2007, right about when we were starting to think about buying KW and bringing it to Rochester. I'd have to go back to see what our numbers were, but I mean, consistently between 10 and 12 million, I would say, maybe 13 on a peak.
That's what I would have pegged you guys at, just from numbers and knowing where the teams are. That's what I would have said.
Right. So when I took over in 17, I think we did 4 or 5 million. I thought that was pretty good for my first year. 2018, we did a little over 14 mil. Last year, we did almost 23 mil. And this year, we're projecting 36.5. That's our goal. Right now, we're at about 80% to our goal. So We're up about 40% over last year, which is freaking amazing considering COVID has just been insanity. But I think it's actually helped our business. And we haven't really set our goals yet for next year. We're a little behind the 8 ball on that. I do a team retreat every year. We have a mid-year, which we just did at the end of July. And then normally in October, we do a 2-day retreat where we just really dive into the numbers, get all the problems out on the table, redo our team standards and expectations, and then project where we want to be for the following year. So we'll be doing that. I do it later than most people. It's going to probably be end of October.
So let's talk about what does this team look like? How is it different from when Chuck had it? So what are some key things that you saw were missing? What have you implemented? Because obviously you have had a shit ton of growth, girlfriend, like with regards to sales and numbers. And so let's talk a little bit about that. What have you done differently?
Well, me and Chuck have 2 different styles. We have 2 different personalities, right? Him and I are obviously going towards the same goal with KW, right? Being the background of our lives, but just different management styles, different business styles. I try to hold people accountable. I mean, accountability is probably the hardest and the thing I'm the worst at, right? I mean, we have accountability, we have standards in place to help me make that happen. But then it's like when somebody doesn't hit that accountability, it's like, that's where I eke out and I don't do my best job, right? So I just try to be a good leader, try to set a good example, try to always bring value to the team, talking about, we have our team powwows, what struggles have you been having? I share what I hear out there. How can we make it better? How can we make it a more positive experience? I mean, right now, you guys, your relationship with your customers is the most important thing. It is so precious. And when you lose that trust or you lose a customer, I mean, that just cuts into your bottom line, because let me tell you, those customers will bring you more and more and more customers and more clients and, referrals for life. So super important to always be thinking that.
So you are so techie. And I remember, and actually Tiffany did spend a huge amount of time helping all of us get started when we first came over to KW. I remember you were the website queen, making sure everybody was set up and so on and so forth.
Boy, that was a long time ago already, Kim.
I know. So what types of things, what are some key pieces of technology that you use currently for your team? Like, how do you use that to your favor to build relationships?
So we are big time market leader users. When KW brought Edge to us back in 2011, right off the bat, we've been in the business suite, that's our main CRM right now, is Edge. I'm having a really hard time converting completely over to Command. That's just a whole nother story. But because we've used it at such a high level and we've used that website, which is rochesterhousehunter.com, we have every person on my team's database is put in there and it's sacred to them. Nobody else on the team can see it, only me, the Rainmaker. I'm able to see everybody's database. And so we're constantly dripping to our database. The big thing people care about, they really don't care about our fluff. They care about houses. I mean, really, at the end of the day, they just really don't care much about the fluff. I think the one thing, so that to me, we do a lot with Edge. We're trying really hard to get over into Command, but we have so many people in our database. Unfortunately, when we're converting over, their search criteria that we have set up is not converting. We have to manually put it in. Yeah. So for us, it doesn't make sense right now. So we're just kind of running them both in tandem. Andrea uses it for all the back end stuff, obviously, right? For all of our past clients over the past 3.5 years, they're all in there and we're using Command to that level. But for online leads, because we do a ton of online lead generating, they're all being dumped into Edge and we're working through them on there now. So that's our big CRM. We used to use Top Producer back in the day. That was a Realtor.com product. We have since gotten rid of that. Yay! Because we were running 2 massive databases that were just a train wreck mess, right? So one huge key thing that I can say to anybody that's just getting in the business or hasn't been in a super long time and your database isn't massive, clean it, massage it, make it perfect. Because as you build your business over the course of the years, that's the one thing that can completely get out of control. So I think really having a good handle on that is super, super important. And you know more people than you give yourself credit for, I think, too, sometimes.
Absolutely. I work with a lot of new people that come in and I'm like, okay, let's get your database together. And they're like, well, I only have 3. I'm like, you only know 3 people? No, I only know three that want to buy or sell. No, 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 no. You, everybody under the sun, right, Tiff?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We also use this thing called the CTE, which is a business tracking system that Andrea brought to the team last year. That's huge in our numbers. We watch all of our numbers through that. We can track everything, see our pendings, our closings. We're constantly tracking numbers. Andrea is my transaction guru. She's like absolutely amazing tracking and keeping everybody in the dates on schedule, on time. I mean, right now I think we have 30 pending, maybe. I don't know. Andrea's on here. She can maybe correct me, but that's a lot of transactions to be monitoring. And that's not my forte. I'm kind of, I'm the rainmaker. I plots and I go, right? I'm going on to the next, finding the next dream, bringing it in. And I need somebody to be watching all that stuff in the back end and holding us accountable to that stuff too. So we use that from an administrative standpoint because command just isn't to the level of where we want it yet. We're trying, but it's just not, for where our business is at right now.
Yep. Yep.
And I'm pretty excited for Mega Camp next week to hear, what Josh Teams has to say, because I know they're working hard to roll that out in such an awesome way. So it's going to be cool to see what it's going to look like for teams.
Exactly. And I think that's the piece I think a lot of our teams are missing is that, that's the last segment to be rolled out. And
right.
Have you scheduled an appointment with Chris and our regional tech person?
No.
Okay, that might be something, Nick, let me talk to Chris and see if she can set something up for you guys and Nick to meet.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Is it Nick Baldwin?
No, Guevara, I think is his last name.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Excellent.
So let's talk about, like, Rita's really curious. She's like, how do you get to 20 million? And I guess you sparked some interest with your online advertising. I know you said you do a lot through Market Leader. I'm not sure that everybody on here knows what that is.
So, Market Leader is Edge, which is something that's been part of KW since 2011. So with Edge, you also have a website that you can design. Actually, one of the smartest things I did last year was hire a full-time marketing director for our team. Her name is Rebecca. She lives in New Jersey. When I hired her, she lived here, and then she moved due to some work issues that she had going on with her wife. And that was the smartest thing I could have done. To me, I'm about spend money to make money. I feel like sometimes people are cutting themselves short on the things that are most important to take your business to that next level. Mm-hmm. So she has really changed our online presence. We're constantly working and tweaking that. Your online presence is so freaking important. Your reviews are so important. People, Googling you, they need to find you. They need to know who you are. Don't hide that you're a real estate person, right? Let the world know. Put it out there. Right. So she's really taken a great handle on that for us. And we do a ton of online lead generating. Back in 2011, I started doing Google AdWords before that became really popular and before it became too expensive. Now it is so overpriced. I don't even want to touch it. It's just literally you'd be spending thousands of dollars to even make it worth your while a month. Right. I did a ton back in 2011 before things got really crazy. I was doing a ton of Facebook advertising with huge success. Now a lot of people are doing it and that's great, right? So we still do a lot with Facebook. We do a lot with Pinterest and we do a lot with our Instagram as well.
Pinterest. What do you do?
Yeah, Pinterest actually is really cool, and I'm not a good person to talk about it. That would be something that my Rebecca would want to talk about. But the advertising through Pinterest is really cheap, and there's this back end way that she's able to take stuff and it redoes something, so it's constantly you're in front of that audience all the time.
Right.
And it's good to know who you're talking to online too, right? What are the demographics?
Sure.
Men, women, age, what's their financial background, like, what's their whole. You got to know who you're talking to.
Sure. So do you have a coach? Like, where do you get your ideas? Because you always seem to be, like, the trend that I'm noticing right here, Tiff, is like you're kind of ahead of the game. Like, back in 1995, you were marrying up, people looking for apartments and so on and so forth. And then you sold that. And then you did the Google words before that was popular and Facebook ads. Like, do you get coached, or how do you know so much about all this stuff? What do you do?
Well, unfortunately, I don't read. All I do is I'm on my computer. So when I read, I'm online. right? Like I don't pick up a book. I used to love reading a book on vacation, but I don't anymore. You know, I guess it's because I'm just so busy in my business. My goal is really honestly within the next 3 years to kind of step out of it and have my team be running as a hub and running at a really super high pace. So I'm kind of on the outside more as a consultant, maybe checking in, you know, once a week or, you know, a few times a month, whatever that might be, whatever that picture looks like. And still providing that value and everything. But I mean, you know, me and Chuck, I mean, we're getting up there in age and we're looking to change up our lives and go on to that next phase of where, you know, we might want to be with stuff. But I'm still just in the day-to-day grind so much into my business. Very, very much so.
So in order for you to, let's say, you know, 3 years from now or 5 years from now, you were to step out of your business, what would you need to have in place? I mean, I think about you and all the energy that you have and all of the things that you currently bring to the team. How?
I almost kind of had to find another me, right? I mean, you got to find somebody that kind of mirrors your whole vision and your concept and everything. So, I mean, I think that really is, you know, every year we relook at our team structure as far as, you know, what our diagram looks like. And we brought on a couple things this year that we had goals for. And next year, I think really getting a director of ops that's just totally just running the whole thing, bringing on a listing coordinator to help me, getting more showing assistants for my buyer's agents, building that part. We tried an ISA, didn't have a lot of luck with it. We probably weren't doing it the right way, but it just wasn't working well for us. There are some virtual ISAs out there that we've talked about maybe checking into and seeing what that looks like. You know, when you're out there in the day-to-day grind, it's so hard. I mean, it's a terrible excuse, but it's hard to go back all the time to be recalling and reconnecting with people.
Right.
Because you just get so busy in what you're doing.
Right. Absolutely.
You know, and our big thing is no lead left behind, right? I mean, even if it's a low ball lead, let's take it, let's talk to them, because you never know what their future is too. So.
Right. So where does the majority of your leads come from? Is it mostly online or is it?
I would say we're probably 50-50 as far as all of our team sphere. Obviously my database is massive because I took over Chuck's, and we know just a lot of people. So we get a lot from our sphere. Believe it or not, I still competitively ski race, and I'm very, very tight in my community. A lot of my clients are my ski friends and their friends, like a ton. And then my team all brings, you know, their sphere to the database, and we get a lot of business from that. And then, I'd probably say the other 50% is definitely online. We do a ton with Zillow. Zillow is, everybody's starting somewhere, right? They're starting online. They're starting at a third-party site, whether it's Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, whatever it might be. There's other sites out there. You want to make sure your online profile in your bio is so spot on that when somebody comes across you, they have no choice but to want to talk to you. So I think it's really important. Make sure you have Google presence, right? So somebody's going to Google your name. Like if you Google Team Hilbert, it should come up as a business on Google, and it shows all of our information. You know, we try to drive people to give us reviews there, but our main focus is keeping our reviews on Zillow because we have so many there that it's kind of hard to take and transport from other places. So, you know, we try to keep everything in one spot if at all possible.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's back up. You look at numbers all the time. The retreats, you mentioned doing 2 of them. What exactly do you do? I think that's a new topic that we have not covered or heard before on Coffee with Capper. So let's talk about that. What do those retreats look like, and what do you do? What's the purpose?
So the purpose is kind of to recap where we are and talk about the future of where we want to be. So on my team, I don't set the goal. Everybody sets their individual goal, and then we take that and we put that together as our main goal, and then I put like a push number on it. So this year, collectively, our team goal is 36.5 mil, and I can't remember the number of transactions. I can't remember what that number is, but you know, that's kind of where our volume there, where we want it to be. And you know, so in the retreat, we talk a lot about how are we going to get there. So we back up the numbers and look at, well, how many transactions do you need to perform a month, a week? How many appointments do you need to have? Because there's a fallout rate, right? I mean, you need to know what your numbers are, what you need to be pushing and doing in order to get to where you want to be. We talk a lot about client care during that. We talk about, advertising. We have a whole marketing section that we talk about. We I try to find some really inspirational videos that we can watch and talk about. We do icebreakers in it. Sometimes we'll do vision boards, talk about struggles that we've had. We review our team standards and expectations to make sure they're all in line and everybody's still on the same page. Every once in a while, we'll redo our KPA to see if there's anything that has changed to make sure that everybody's in the right position. And this is also kind of a time where people can openly and freely like gripe or, give somebody a pat on the back too. What do we need to change? What's going to make us better as a team?
Right.
And then we project our goals for the following year and we talk about how we're going to get there.
Right.
It's kind of fun. This year, me and Chuck had the great fortune to have an awesome place down in Canandaigua for the summer. And I brought my team down there for our mid-year retreat. We spent about 4 or 5 hours going over stuff. And then we went out kayaking and swimming and stuff. So that was, really fun. We'd like to do some team building events. We went to Bristol last year and did the ropes course. We've done some happy hours together, just different little stuff like that. So we have a client party coming up in a couple weeks. It's going to be a virtual wine tasting event. My buddy used to sell for Constellation. He's going to come on and basically from start to finish, like how you open a bottle, how you prepare the bottle, how you pour it. He's going to explain everything about a wine so people have a better feeling about it. We're going to pair it with some cheeses. And then if they have kids, we're going to have some kid stuff in there. There's going to be giveaways, probably play some trivia. Should be kind of fun. I mean, client parties I think are important, but I don't think they should be the number one focus because they're a lot of work. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, they are.
They're a lot of work. We last year started our end of the season. We had at Marge's last year. I don't know if anybody has been there, but it's an awesome bar up on the lake, on the beach in Irondequoit. And we're just really good friends with the owners. And we partitioned off a whole area last year for our end of summer client bash. And it was so much fun. And we were hoping to do that again this year, but this thing called COVID got in the way. So now we're going to try to do the wine tasting thing in its place.
Nice. You guys did bingo too, didn't you?
Yeah, we did bingo. That was really fun. We had a Cinco de Mayo client party on Cinco, which was May 5th. Everybody had to bring tequila. It was a riot, and we played bingo. We had great prizes. And what's really cool about even doing the virtual stuff, I have a list of everybody that's coming on, and we kind of have a background as to what they do maybe in their personal life or business life. So some people may have had a new baby. So we're like, hey, show the baby. Or, hey, Randy, you started a new business. Share with everybody about your business. So it's kind of a forum for our clients to share with other clients. Kind of a little networking thing.
So how do you play bingo virtually? Or drink tequila?
There are some online games. I mean, since COVID, if you just Google online Zoom games, there's tons of them. There's a really cool bingo one. I think we're going to do a trivia one for our next party that's coming up. We're going to have, gift card prizes. I always have my attorneys and my lenders sponsor the events, so it's not a huge chunk of change out of my pocket.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, and during our retreat, we even look at all those numbers. I look at, okay, which attorneys got our business? So we know who has gotten what volume, which lenders got our business, because then I'm like, okay, we need to be talking to those lenders more. We need to be talking to that attorney more. Like we look at where every single lead comes from that we write a contract. So it's all about numbers, right? We need to know where our money is being spent, our return on investment. And, that's super important because everybody is supposed to bring 1/3 of their business from their sphere to our team. So we're constantly, looking at those numbers, and Andrea does a great job tracking that. So we keep it all together and organized.
Nice. So guys, what she's talking about right here is the economic model and the budget model from the MREA book.
Yeah, I got to tell you guys, like I just read that book for the first time. We did a book club in the team like a 1.5 years ago. Because I live with the MREA guy. His name is Chuck. And he's, so when you say coach, that kind of has been my coach. I don't have a coach.
Right.
I've been hounded to get a coach. I just have not done it. I feel like I live with a coach and I'm around so many people that are in that world that a lot of it rubs off on me. And so I take a lot of that, in.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to be held accountable to a coach. I'm not going to lie.
It's that whole accountability thing, Tiff.
I know, right? But yeah, so that's kind of where things are at.
Cool.
Yeah.
So Rita asks, how do you manage personal and professional life?
Oh, girl, I don't even know. So I still big time competitively ski race. I help run the adult race league at Bristol Mountain. And in years past, I've even raced out west on a national level. I love it. It's my passion. People that know me, especially my team, as soon as a snowflake flies, I have a winter schedule. And like it's a non-negotiable. That is my schedule. I will be on the snow. I have my phone, but I'm on the snow. I'm not here. Right. So things just kind of change with that. So that to me is a non-negotiable. I've been trying really hard not to work evenings and weekends. You know, I handle all the listings. There's some buyers I work with just depending on the situation. But I really am trying to teach my people to work around my schedule. You know, when I'm taking a listing on and being strategic, I'm not negotiating a contract on a Sunday night. No, thank you. We're going to wait till Tuesday. Do you know what I mean? Like it's all about being strategic as to how you're doing it.
Right.
And then just planning it out and having it in your calendar.
Right.
I do a lot, you know, like I use like Instacart for a lot of my shopping just because I don't want to waste the time to be in the store. You know, that saves me some time.
Right.
You know, I get up, I'm on my phone the second I wake up, which probably isn't healthy, but I am. I get a lot done before I even get into the office. I'm constantly lead generating. And I do that in so many different ways. I mean, emailing, calling, texting, on Facebook, online, you know, just talking to people, just being out and about. And I did something I've never done before. I took the dog for a walk about a month and probably a couple months ago, and a neighbor had a FSBO sign out. Guys, I don't call FSBOs. That's not in our business model. We don't call expireds. I don't allow anybody on my team to really do it unless it's a property that's going to fit for one of our customers. And I was like, all right, I just stopped and I talked to him. He gave me a tour of the house. I didn't get the listing, which is okay, but I did something that was totally outside of my comfort level. And I felt okay about it. You know, so just kind of spreading the word of what you do, you know, maybe your neighbors don't even know what you do.
Right. True.
You know?
Yeah.
I was thinking like we moved into this new neighborhood almost 4 years ago. Back before COVID, I was thinking of having like a neighborhood happy hour in our front yard, just inviting certain streets over to just kind of meet and mingle and everybody kind of share what they do for a living. I don't know. I think that could kind of be a fun, friendly thing to do for your neighbors to get to know you because you never know who your neighbors know.
Well, that's true. Very true.
You know, and people are always looking to sell homes and buy homes, and their kids are, and I don't know, just try to be creative in all different avenues and directions.
Just got to get it out there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Don't be afraid, right?
For sure.
There's no idea is a bad idea. You'll know once you do it, you know, test the market, and you'll know if it was a great idea, if it was a flub. Oh, I'll just move on to the next.
Exactly. It's called
You know,
failing
don't get too
forward.
hung up in it. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
So do you time block?
Not really, no.
No.
I'm not going to lie. I really don't. I've tried. It's not for me. It doesn't work.
Right.
I'm kind of like, I don't time block lead generating at all because to me, it's just an ongoing daily thing. So there's a lot of things that, you know, there's several things that KW suggests that you do that I just do a little bit differently, but I know what my comfort, you know, where my comfort is and what works best for me.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
So Ivan wants to know if Chuck is still the front man, or does that even matter? What do you mean by front man?
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, you know, the Chuck Hilbert team, right? I don't know
No.
what it was way back. Or, you know, it's Chuck Hilbert or whatever.
No, not at all.
But it's not. I mean, he was the lead
Rainmaker.
Yeah, initially, and now he's
Yep.
not. And so I'm
Right.
on your database, and I don't see his face anymore. And you know, I see your face, and I knew you kind of, sort of, but not really. So I just wondered.
Yeah, and in the beginning when I took over the team, I mean, that was really hard, right? Because it was always Chuck, and I was just the marketing person in the background. So when we first started, all of our signs had both of our pictures on. I mean, we still have some of those panels because, you know, his face is still important. He's still on our website. You know, he's still in our world, but we've just shifted and changed it around a lot. So now it's just about, you know, Team Hilbert, Tiffany, you know, leading the team kind of thing. Yep. And I never really like to make it about me. I like to make it about the team because it is a team. Like I could not be here without the team. There's no way. There's no way. I would have zero life. As it is, sometimes I feel like I don't have a life outside of work. But, you know, you have to leverage so you can have a life, you know. And And if there's a client that you just feel like you're spinning wheels or you're taking too much time, don't be afraid to refer it out to another agent that's looking for some help or that's looking for some business. You know, if you have too much on your plate and you're a single agent, find somebody to partner up with and refer that buyer. Because buyers they're so super time consuming. You know, I mean, they can zap the life out of you sometimes, you know. But I think at the same time, you know, especially with a crazy market like we have right now, there's so many buyers that are writing multiple offers on different properties and they're not winning. The big thing is just keeping them positive and in the spirit of it all, right? Just keeping them pushing forward that, you know, that right house is going to come around.
What do you think your percentage of buyers versus sellers are?
Andrew, I think we're more probably 60% buyers, 40% sellers.
Correct.
Right, Ange?
Yeah.
Yep. And I think that's right in line with the MREA.
Yeah.
It seems like as soon as the listing goes live, it's gone, right? So you don't have a huge opportunity to grab a lot of leads from listings right now,
Right.
only because the stuff is selling so fast.
Right.
And I'm finding that many buyers aren't going to win unless they're, you know, positioned with a buyer's agent that's strong and is helping them navigate this system.
So knowing
Just
that,
a note.
how do you set your seller up for success? Do you just kind of put it in and just know it's going to sell, or are you still, I know in the very beginning you were doing Matterport stuff, and I don't know how many of these people were on our call yesterday, but you've kind of switched how you're doing your marketing stuff, your videos. Do you want to talk about that for a bit?
Sure. So since COVID happened, we really have shifted to virtual, and many of my listings are sold strictly virtually, so nobody's stepping foot. One of my big conversations I have with sellers is, tell me how your life has changed during COVID. And I just hear them out, and I like to hear how, you know, what's going on, because guess what? That's exactly when any underlying health issues come out in that conversation. So then I say to them, so what's your comfort of having complete strangers come through your house? And right away, they're like, ooh, right? And I'm like, and in this market where your house is positioned, that could potentially be 50 different groups of people. Now, sure, they're going to have masks on, maybe they're going to have gloves, but they're still in your house. And we can't control what they're touching and what they're doing when they're in your house. So how does that make you feel, right? So then we talk about that. And then we offer up 3 different styles of listings. You can do it the old school way. You know, and every listing is different, right? It depends on if it's a niche property, if it's a higher end property, whatever it might be. But your mainstream properties right now that you're getting multiple offers, we're shooting a virtual tour using a system called Aster Room. And I'm creating, it's basically a 360 panel walk around video through a property. And we're making agents have the clients preview the video, look at the pics, and do a drive-by. I have 2 listings going live today where nobody's stepping foot in there. We're asking everybody to submit their offers on Monday by 5 p.m. And then we have a window of time Monday night and a window of time Tuesday where only the people that wrote offers are going to be able to go in and view the property in person. And 9 times out of 10, when they go in and view it, they escalate their offers up. So they're changing it up. Sometimes they hate it, so we just rip up the contract, they're done. Or they stay where they're at, but many times they're escalating up that purchase price that they're offering because they know there's somebody else right behind them coming in to see the property. And if it really, you know, resonates with them and it makes them feel great when they're in there, it's working really, really good for sellers. And it's great for people with families, with a bunch of animals. I mean, I have a house going live that's got 4 cats and a dog. It doesn't smell, which is amazing, right? So the things that you don't get to partake in when you're going virtual is smell, sound, and how it feels. Those are 3 pretty big senses, but at the same time, you can kind of gear that by just looking at how the house is maintained, right? And you can just kind of visually see what it might be. So sometimes when somebody walks in, it just doesn't feel right. And so they'll just, you know, take they won't continue on with the contract.
Okay. So it sounds like there's a lot of, I mean, so holy crap, you're having a lot to keep track of. Like if let's say you have a house and it gets 15 offers or whatever, so those 15 people are going through, what is the time frame upon which they have to view it? So do you do delayed negotiations, delayed offers, and then?
So what we're doing is on these ones, we're doing delayed negotiations till Tuesday at 4. Offers have to be in by Monday at 5. And then we just are figuring out the scheduling of what's going to work best for people, to get in and see the property. And if we have to push things out a little bit, we do. I want to make sure we accommodate everybody.
Sure.
I mean, and the other thing is I'm always telling agents, give us 24 hours to give you an answer back, because there's always that last second agent that, couldn't get their buyer in, or they weren't able to get that contract written, and it could be the winner chicken dinner, right? So we want to make sure we can accommodate all those coming in too. So, I save all of my contracts that come in. I label them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have the address, and a lot of times I use the agent's name as a key for myself instead of the client's name that's buying it, because I know the agents, right? And then I send every single contract to my sellers. And then a lot of times I'm doing a Zoom with them, and I'm like, okay, let's look at contract number 1, and we'll look at it together and go through all the pieces. And ahead of time, I know which one I feel is the best. But, I explain all the different parts of it, why I think this is good or why I think this isn't good. And not always the highest offer is the best deal for a seller,
Right. True.
And transparency with other agents. So I think everybody's got to play nice in the sandbox. I think there's a lot of agents out there right now that are burning bridges bad. And we had a conversation about this on our team powwow last week. Don't burn a bridge, because all of a sudden you're going to write an offer on that person's listing, and they're going to remember what a douche you were, maybe, excuse my French. Like I said, I'm a straight shooter, and they're going to probably try to not let your buyers get that offer. I hate to say it.
So true.
But
Do you
I
get
think
a lot
it's
of
true.
pushback from other agents with regards to not being allowed to view it in person before rating, things like that?
Yeah, the agents that are not willing to embrace virtual occasionally, but most of them are saying, thank you so much, you just saved my life. I'm not running around showing them a property, and if it's not the right thing for them, it's a lot of wasted time for the agents going around showing properties. So it's kind of streamlining it, making it easier for them.
Right. I guess it's amazing too how many buyers are on board with that.
Yeah.
Writing on something before they truly see it, right?
Right. If they're working with a good agent, that agent is explaining to them, the nature of the market right now. I mean, that's, you hope that's what they're doing, because the nature of the market is certainly nothing we've seen before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So this obviously is working really well for you. So let's say things open back up. What are your thoughts? Are you going to continue to kind of try to pursue things in the same manner in which you're doing them right now, or
100%.
will you go back to what you were doing before?
I don't know, you guys. I think this is going to be around for a while, and I think the uncertainty is happening, and I think people are buying a lifestyle right now. And what I'm telling people when I'm meeting with them is, you cannot think about the resale on this property. You can't, because we have no idea. There's no crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen. Yep, you're probably overpaying, but guess what? If you want a house in this market, you have to. You don't have a choice. And if you break it out over a 30-year period, and it's an extra $20,000 you're paying, what is that adding to your life a month? Peanuts, right? And it's going to make you and your family happy to be in this new place. I mean, we don't know if we're going to go into another shutdown. I mean, right now we can barely go anywhere outside of New York State. It's right. I mean, or you have to come home and you have to sit in your house. No, thank you. This is going to be going on for a while. And I really think people are changing their lifestyle, and they want to find a house that is going to be great for them to homeschool, to work from home. Maybe they're going to have family that's going to come and stay with them for a while because they need to get out of where they're at. Yeah. So houses that used to maybe not sell so great are selling like crazy.
Absolutely.
But we're definitely going to always be doing virtual tours. There's no reason not to. It's inexpensive, the system that we use. Mataport's cool. I mean, I shot a really big house last year, but it cost me almost $600 with Matterport. This is like peanuts. This is like dimes on the dollar compared to that system. And I go in, I shoot it with my phone, and it turns out pretty darn great, and people love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Taylor wants to know, she's like, are you getting a lot of junk offers just to get people through the door?
Not at all. Not a single one. Nope. They're sending their pre-approvals, guys. I mean, they're real people. I'm looking at it, and I've gotten some offers where there's an escalation of no dollar amount. So we talked about this yesterday on the office meeting, but what I didn't say is I go back to that agent. I'm like, look at your person. Cause I had this happen on a house in Webster with an above ground pool. Let me tell you, that made that house worth $25,000 more than it would have been without the pool. It was insane. And somebody wrote an offer, 0 cap. I call the agent, I go, so is your person willing to pay 75,000 over? Because I go, that's where the escalation is right now. She's like, oh my God. She called her people. They were able to go up to like 50,000 over asking. They got it, right? But I also go back to everybody. I'm like, look, is this your highest and best? Is this your highest and best? Is this your highest and best? Transparency, you know?
Right.
But no, they're really, I have not gotten any junk offers.
That's
I look big time at pre-approvals, big time. And I've even asked agents, hey, you know what? I really suggest you get a different lender. I don't know anything about this lender. Especially if it's something that's outside of our area.
right.
No, thank you. I don't want to know anything about it. Yeah. Got an offer the other day from a bank in Albany. I'm like, I've never heard of them. Look at, there's local lenders. Everybody works 24/7 right now. So find your favorite lender and get them approved and then send it to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you get pushback with that?
No, because guess when you have a listing, you're leading the pack.
Right.
You have what their customers want. So it's pretty much, you got to play the way we're representing our sellers. Because what I'm doing is I am making my sellers as leveraged as possible because I want to get them the smoothest, cleanest, most awesome deal,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And just be really fair with the agents, right? I mean, you don't want your integrity questioned.
Truth.
Because it goes a long way. I mean, everybody your integrity is super important in this business, and your honesty and being fair.
Right. So what kinds of things did you have to overcome going from, Chuck being a point person to you being in charge?
Yeah.
Was that a tough transition? I feel
Well,
like I
it was,
know that answer, but.
yeah, I mean, in the beginning it was because I didn't know what I was doing. You guys, my first deal was a dual agency. What? Right? And it was one of my ski buddies. We listed his house and I had some buyers contact me directly. I took them over to it. They loved it, but there was a huge flooding problem in the back. And I said to my seller, I'm like, hey, will you talk to the buyers? She's like, absolutely. I'm like, here you go. You guys talk. I wanted nothing to do with that problem, right? Yeah, my first deal was a dual. I'm not big on duals though. It's not my faves, right? Like I always try to separate that out. But yeah, it was hard because it was always Chuck, right? And so I didn't have a lot of experience selling or negotiating. There was a lot of stumbling blocks in the beginning, but I think the more you do it and the more you do it, the more comfortable you become with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you don't know an answer, don't give an answer. Say, hey, let me get back to you. Let me get the answer for you. Yep. And I think going into a listing appointment or a buyer's consultation, every time you're going for an interview for a job, so always think of that. Don't think that it's a shoo-in. You have to win them over with your knowledge, your confidence, and the things that you say to them. So always look at it as a job interview.
Even how you look, how you dress, how you act, the whole 9 yards.
Yep, first impressions are everything.
Yep, absolutely.
So even if you're Zooming somebody, right? I mean, like, come on, make it presentable, right? I mean, if it is a buyer consult or a seller consult, put on a little bit nicer top, you know what I mean? Maybe put on some lipstick, whatever it might be. But, you want to present yourself the right way.
Sure. Let me see here. I'm kind of looking at chat now too. Ron Steven asks, so do you only talk to the agents that are the top 3 or top 4 offers for a house, or do you talk to all of them?
Generally, I try to talk to all of them. Most of the time I'm just sending a text, saying, hey, we've got this many offers. Is this your client's highest and best? Okay. Yeah, because you know what, here's the thing. You don't know what that buyer situation is. They could be just trying to lowball, having no idea how many offers there are. And so they're just trying to, get the house for the least amount of money. Meanwhile, we're trying to get the most amount of money for the house for the seller. So it'd be crazy not to talk to those agents.
Right. So then how many do you leave into the house afterwards? You take top 3 or top?
No, everybody that wrote an offer. Every single person that wrote an offer.
Oh, gets to go in. Okay.
Yep.
I gotcha.
Absolutely. Yep.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So this house in Brighton, I mean, we might end up having, I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 different groups through, but her immune system is compromised and she's just not comfortable. And I'm like, you don't have to. This will be great. You take your dog, you just head out for the day, and we'll get people in there. And when you come home, you sanitize the hell out of your house.
Right.
And
do you offer any supplies like that when you go do a listing?
I do, but I'm going to tell you 9 times out of 10, they've got stuff already there, man. They've got a station set up at their house. They've got the hand sanitizer, the masks, and the gloves.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but we've got a whole bunch of stuff if we need it for people.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, what else? I think or you can unmute yourself if you would like and ask Tiffany directly.
I'd
Is there
love
anything,
any questions. I'd love it.
Tiffany, that I had emailed you that we were going to talk about that I forgot? Or anything you'd like to talk about?
I'm just looking at some of the questions you had asked. No, I think just being transparent and genuine, and you know what? Self-confidence is going to be your best friend. So even if you're new in the business, you've got to just have that confidence. And I mean, it's like smile when you talk, because it sounds a lot better than not smiling. Smile when you talk, shoulders up, look at yourself in a mirror, think about it, stand up if it's better for you to talk to somebody on the phone. Have that confidence so they're going to be comfortable with you. I mean, there are some, I tell you what, I can tell right off the bat when I'm talking to somebody on the phone if I'm getting pushback or if they've got just an attitude about real estate agents. And I just try to bring that back around, right? And I always just make it all about a personal relationship with that person, just kind of bring them into my world and learn a bit more about them.
Yeah.
This is John. Who was your first
John.
hire? Hi, Tiff.
My first hire was, so when our team imploded, Nancy had already been working with us as the admin, so she stayed on. She was my admin and I was selling and doing listings. And then I realized that she wasn't great at it and she wanted to be a buyer's agent. So we rolled her into being a buyer's agent and I hired an admin. So I was doing listings, Nancy was doing buyers, and we hired an admin. And then after we hired that admin, I brought 2 other buyer's agents on. That admin decided she didn't want to be in the real estate industry anymore, so she left, and I hired Andrea. And then we brought a marketing person on back in December, and we brought a showing assistant in March. So right now I've got 3 buyer's agents, a showing assistant, full-time transaction admin, Andrea, and I've got Rebecca, my marketing, and I'm pretty much looking to bring like 2 more buyer's agents on. Because we just have a lot of business going on. I really need to bring somebody kind of into the listing world a little bit. But listings are so much easier to deal with than buyers. So much easier, So
Thank you.
That's where, yeah, you're welcome. John, are you still solo?
Betsy, my wife Betsy is my admin.
Okay.
So she's
That's
doing
good.
that. And yeah, so we're looking at getting a showing assistant. And I was going to talk to you offline about that. Obviously, I don't want to take up this time to do it, but
Sure.
I'll reach out to you and we'll talk more about it.
Sure. Sounds good.
Thanks, Tiff.
You're welcome, John.
What else, you guys?
Rita, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. This is my, I've been doing 4 years part-time, so this is my first year full-time. I kept earlier than the other years, and yeah, I need to get to 20 million.
No, you don't. You got to go where you can be, right? I mean, 20 million is a lot for one person. You will have zero life. You will have no life. I mean, do you have an admin?
I don't have anybody or anything yet. I wanted to talk to you offline too, because I made my son's in engineering in college, but I made him take over the summer some marketing classes, some social media kind of classes. So he's been doing kind of some stuff behind the scenes, and I want him to kind of learn command so that he could do automatic email blasts and all that for me. Just all that back end stuff that I don't really want to do or manage.
Right.
So I just need to know like where to go to get them that proper training. So
yeah, I don't know.
I
don't know. I think that Command has got so much great stuff online. I mean, I would have him just immerse himself 1000% into that. What are you using for your CRM? Are you using Command?
Yeah, I am using Command. Yeah.
So have him 100% just focus on Command World.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Start all the videos, like starting way back from the beginning, the 66-day challenge. And then I think they did it 2.0 and I think 3.0, and, just have them watch all of those things, because it'll walk you through every single thing that Command does.
Right. Yeah.
And
That's the plan.
since you've started out on command, it's easy for you because everybody's all in one spot. Whereas somebody like Tiffany or even, Lisa's team, like we've been through how many different CRMs since we've been here. Remember there was something called Red Door or something, or
Oh yeah, yep.
or there's been a lot of different things that we've had over the years. So I feel like the new people for sure have an advantage.
Oh, absolutely. I
that's
think
true.
command's going to be amazing. It's super, super cool. So I would definitely focus on that. They're trying to make it a one-stop shop, right? So that's a great
Right.
place for you to be.
Well, you're very inspiring, so thank you.
Oh God, thank you. I'm pretty hard on myself. I'm a very high D, in case people don't know me. Very high D, and I've got a lot of I in me too. But my I is overshadowed by my D often. So I'm a driver. I'm a doer. I fell asleep last night. I woke up thinking about things I forgot to do. I got up and got on my computer and did it so I could go back to sleep. Stupid, but that's just how my brain works, right? Because I know how my day is scheduled out. So, time blocking, not really, but it's scheduled. Like I have my specific things that I'm doing, my appointments, and I'm, trying to make sure I get everything in as I need it.
Yep. It's purposeful.
Yeah. And I live by my calendar on my phone. That's how I keep myself organized. I mean, everything is in there, and I share that with my admin. So she sees what I have going on. And she'll remind me when I have things coming up. So that's super helpful.
Nice. Yay, Andrea.
Yeah. Sometimes she loves me. Sometimes I think she might hate me. But in the end, it's a good marriage.
I could never hate you, Tiff.
I love you. So she's in her own little cubby. She took over Chuck's old office, the closet, because she used to be in the team office, but now she's over there. But now, like, nobody's really coming in. Like Dan comes in and me, and then everybody else is pretty much just working remotely, which is really such a bummer, this damn COVID thing.
I know.
It's tough, but yeah, so we're just rocking and roll.
So I guess last question, if nobody else has one. Anybody? I think you kind of answered this. Okay, two things.
Okay.
Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Probably retired. What that looks like, I don't know. I mean, me and Chuck will always be in real estate. People will always assimilate us with real estate. So we will just have I plan on still having a very strong team.
Mm-hmm.
And, just referring stuff to my team constantly. I mean, like, yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm going to be. I would love to be living out in Colorado, somewhere on the mountains. That would be amazing. I don't know, just kind of bombing around doing some different things. I like the ocean, but I love the mountains. So I've got to have the best of both worlds as often as I can.
Yep.
So I realized I love the lake life this summer. That was just, I'm an Aquarius, so I need to be near the water all the time.
Yeah.
It's just a given.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What would you tell your younger self?
My younger self,
Go
I
back
think
maybe 20, 25 years. What would you tell your
okay, 25 years, man, that would put me at what, 30? I was just being a full-time mommy at 30. I had my youngest at 30. What would I tell myself? You got to just sometimes go with your gut, right? Like Chuck was looking at KW for, I want to say 5 or 6 years, like seriously looking at it. And Hilbert Realty was burning, churning, doing great, right? The wheel wasn't broken. He was producing. I was a stay-home mom. Things are going great. And, I remember him and I were sitting in our pool one day. He's like, Tiff, I think I want to bring Keller Williams to Rochester. And I was like, then do it. Like I always trusted in his vision. And we've always been on the same page. So I think my younger self, that's important, right? We're kind of working towards the same thing. I wish that I had started selling earlier. I probably would be in a different scenario now, I would think. But I think as I've gotten older, I've become more confident and a little more self-assured. I've always been a confident person, but definitely over the past 20 years, once I got into my 30s and up, I've become much more confident. And I don't know.
Yeah. No,
I don't
those
know
are
what I
all-
tell my younger self. You know what I mean? Like, you know, keep your friends close and your enemies know who they are. That's super important. There's a lot of haters out there. I hate to say it. But there's definitely a lot of jealous haters out there. And I still embrace that. But I also know I've got to watch your back sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, try not to take this business personal. It can be a very personal business. You can feel very like defeated or feel like somebody stabbed you in the back, but try really hard not to feel that way. Because at the end of the day, I always try to tell my customers, take the emotion out. This is a business transaction. And that's really hard for people to do, but really take the emotion out and just think with a clear head about, you know, how this is going to change your life transactionally and financially for people.
Yeah. Yeah. And guys, I've said this on here before. If a buyer wants to buy and a seller wants to sell, you'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Whether it's
Oh,
moving
yeah.
mountains, heaven and earth. You know, if somebody's really rock solid on selling and somebody's really rock solid on buying that, you're always going to overcome whatever it is. But as
Yeah.
soon as there's a waiver of doubt on either side, that's when the wheels can fall off the cart, right?
Yep, absolutely. And then you just move on to the next.
Yep.
You know, put it behind you. Don't sit there and lament because you didn't get a deal or you didn't get the listing. Just move on to the next. Make it a learning experience. What could I have done differently to make that work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Life is way too short to sit back and be constantly thinking about the woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? Just like keep pushing forward with what you're going to do.
Absolutely. So, okay, one last one. Ron
Okay.
wants to know where your favorite place to ski is.
Oh my God, Vail is my little slice of heaven, and I love Tahoe. Love
There
them,
you go.
love them, love them. The snow out west is amazing. I honestly, I'm no happier than being at the top of a mountain out in the Rockies. Vail, I just love the town, the vibe. It's just super cool. Just love it.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love the sound. I love the cold. It's good stuff.
Oh, look, he came on screen just for that.
Bristol Mountain is my home base. I've been skiing there for probably 40 years, so I know everybody there. I just show up and all my buds are everywhere, and we just have a good old time ripping it up.
Cool. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Tiffany.
Oh,
for joining us
thanks.
this morning.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate everybody.
Great session, and I knew you would knock it out of the park, so couldn't talk to you, but thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Welcome. Thank you, guys. Everybody, good luck. Keep it up, all right?
All right.
Take care.
Have a good one.
See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.